Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we're talking about a little bit of the box office for this weekend because we've already it's not even Saturday's not even over yet, and we're already getting this news, which just makes me laugh because it really just goes to show you that Hollywood has no idea what they're doing, and that these Hollywood elites that think, oh, we can take a franchise and we can make it political and we can make it 2019 and we can try and bring it up with the times and make something for the next generation. And it's just so great to see all of those wants and desires just fizzle before them in a epic fill of just gargantuan proportions. And that is exactly what's happening here with the Charlie's Angels remake that no one asked for, that no one wanted, except for the people apparently that were in the film and were behind the camera who wanted to make it because of, reasons. And it is set to now make less than around an $8 million opening weekend, and this was after early projections of it making between 12 and 14 million. So not only was it coming in on the low end with its high end projections, it's coming in well below what they had originally thought, which is abysmal, but has me incredibly happy. So let's dive into the Deadline article here. In the wake of Terminator Dark Fate, or Woke Fate's failures at the box office, I wonder why. I wonder what Dark Fate and Charlie's Angels reboot have in common. I wonder what they have in common. Anyone? Bueller? Apparently Hollywood doesn't get doesn't get it. Apparently Hollywood can't understand why these things are happening. Apparently Hollywood can't see the very direct correlation, the very direct connection between the two films and what they have in common with each other as to why the film is failing. I wonder if they'll ever figure it out, though. And Paramount's recent decision to make Beverly Hills Cop 4 for Netflix, we have the further breakdown of cinema IP in Sony's Charlie's Angels reboot, which is tanking. That's right. Even Deadline is saying, which is tanking with a god-awful $8.2 million opening. 3 stars on Screen Engine's ComScore's post-track and a B+ on CinemaScore. And if you really needed any more evidence as to why CinemaScore is a joke, there you have it. Seriously, honestly, until CinemaScore can actually release who's answering their survey, how many surveys they actually give out, actual credible information, I'm not going to buy into their, this is the grade. This is the grade. This is what audience are thinking. And people like John Campea and others saying, oh, yeah, well, CinemaScore is this. Now, CinemaScore doesn't mean a damn thing because they can't prove anything. They can't actually show their data. They can't actually show their evidence. They can't show numbers. They can't show anything except for the score itself. And I don't trust that because for all I know, they could be going to specific theaters where they know certain markets show up. They could be going to certain people. They could only be approaching certain people that they think will fill out the card in a certain way. There are so many factors that can impact the score, which makes it a completely unreliable statistic unless we're actually able to get hard numbers from it, but we can't. And if you want the evidence of that, go ahead and look to the box office. Look at the box office for Dark Fate. Dark Fate had a decent cinema score, as apparently now also Charlie's Angels reboot has, and yet the film is bombing. No one is wanting to go see it. And if you think that, the word of mouth is going to be so great for this film and everyone's going to want to see it, go ahead and look at most of the reviews for the film. Unless it's part of a show website, most of the reviews for this film have been terrible, have been god-awful. Isn't this amazing that people, that audiences are actually waking up to this and saying, you know what, no, screw you. I'm tired of you taking these IPs. I'm tired of you taking these properties that were either neutral or even somewhat good and deciding to turn them into political stories, deciding to turn them into these woke fantasies that you all have. Oh, this is the world that we want to live in. And guess what? So does everyone else. Well, apparently not, because $8 million for an opening weekend for any film, especially a film like this with the marketing that's gotten and the $40 million budget or so, that's abysmal. The Elizabeth Banks directed, written, and produced pick. Yeah. Look at that combination right there. Is also opening in 27 offshore markets, China being one where it's also bombing. Yeah, you thought that China would show up for this? I can't believe it. And if you want to have more reason to hate this film and to hate the studio behind this film, they wanted to have a release in China. They went through the censors. They probably had to cut certain elements of the film because the Chinese Communist government just had to have it that way. And so that makes me even happier that this film is tanking. While films like Joker are over $1 billion and now making well over $1 billion at this point, that's right, John Camp, I'm going to keep on calling you out on that one. You have films like this that are releasing in China, that are kowtowing to the communist regimes, that are trying to go for the woke points, and are epically failing at it. It's also bombing in China with a $6 million two-day take in a second place behind the local title Somewhere Winter. That's right, it did worse than a film that is pretty much only going to be showing in China. All of this is primed to further spur a WTF reaction and anxiety among film development executives in town in regards to what the hell exactly works in this have or have not era of the theatrical marketplace. It's very easy. Deadline, it's very easy. You don't go woke. You don't take a property that was previously successful and remake it for no reason. Because that's the other problem too. It's not just that it's woke. That's definitely a part of the reason. But it's also because no one was asking for this. No one wanted it, let alone no one wanted a Kristen Stewart starring version of Charlie's Angels. Who in their right mind said, oh, you know what? We're going to make a Charlie's Angels remake, and you know who we want to star? You know who we want to be at the center of it? Yeah, let's get Kristen Stewart. And that's not a nag against her in all the performances that she's ever done. I think that she does have some talent. Not everyone's going to agree with me on that. I have seen her in good roles before, especially in the independent scene. That's really the market that she should stay in. But as an action star, hell no. Absolutely not. You are an idiot. And I just saw a trailer the other day that's having her be another action star persona, and that film is probably going to bomb as well, though that probably costs a lot less, and so you're not going to have nearly as much. You might actually have a box office loss. This film only costs about $40 million to make. And you have the potential of getting a loss with this film. It's hard to have a flop in Hollywood these days. It really is. Like, think about how many films are successful or break even versus how many films flop. Really not many films flop in a given year because most are at least able to get their revenues back. It's hard to flop, let alone it's even that much harder to flop when you've got a good marketing campaign behind you and when you have barely any actual production budget whatsoever. This is abysmal by any recollection, by any person's standards. If anyone is going to try and spin this as successful or not nearly as bad as you might think, they are lying to you. And if any of them try and say, oh, it has nothing to do with wokeness, or it has nothing to do with this, or nothing to do with that, they are also lying to you. This is what happens when you go political. This is what happens when you make something that fans do not want to actually see. Fans do not show up for it. Many will make the hasty, here we go. Many will make the hasty generalization that old dusty IPs don't work or now deemed too risky when it's not a superhero project. However, movie making is an art, not a science, and annoying as it might sound, good movies float to the top, and this Charlie's Angels reboot didn't have the goods going back to its script. I think that there's some of that is partly true, right? You don't have to just have a superhero film to make money, but at the same time, too, you are ignoring the very obvious reasons as to why people are rejecting this film. You do realize that had they not gone woke, had they not had all of these interviews and all of these promotional materials of them trying to push and push and push this narrative of, oh my gosh, wham and wham and wham and wham, and the film probably would have at least broken even. The film probably would have gotten closer to the $10 million mark. Right? I think that there's a lot of people that have either said, oh, you know what, I might go see this, or hey, I like Charlie's Angels, why not go see this? Saw all the, or saw all of the promotions for it, the interviews for it, the trailers for it, and said, what in the hell is this? Why in the hell would I want to go see this? And now they're saying, yeah, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to wait on this one. And it looks like a lot of people are probably going to wait on this one. This is just absolutely abysmal for this to happen. We're going to break down for you what went wrong in another graph, but we don't want to bury the success of Disney's release of Fox's James Mangold-directed Ford v Ferrari. Isn't that interesting that now they're throwing the... I mean, obviously Disney owns Fox now, but I love how they're like, oh, this is a Disney release here, and look how successful it's being. Well, it's successful because it's a good movie. And you know what Ford v Ferrari has none of? Woke identity politics. Because it's a biopic, and it's a biopic that's actually done right. They don't try and change the history. They don't try and add in certain characters or add in certain personalities or cast certain actors because, oh, we want to get and check off those woke points. They said, no, this is a biopic, and we're going to try and stick to it. And guess what? They did, and it's a damn good time. It is very, very exciting to see at the theater. I can tell you this for someone that's not a car person, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a good time of the movie. I think that it's a great juxtaposition that you have Ford v Ferrari, which is running away with the box office this weekend, that is projected to come in around $30 to $40 million this weekend, versus another film in Charlie's Angels, which has woke points, which is a story that no one actually wanted to see another version of, which is so flawed in so many different ways before even having to see the damn movie, and this one's failing. You have this film, which is likely going to be a box office bomb, which only costs so much money to make. And you have another film, which costs maybe a little bit more than that film cost to make. That's going to make a pretty decent amount of money. It's not going to be the highest grossing film of the year. It's not going to be a giant box office juggernaut, but it is going to be coming in at number one at the weekend. And that is always an important thing. And especially when you have this film, which is headed by 2 male characters, and then this one, which is headed by 3 females. I think that also speaks to it, right? They're both action-y type films, and yet one is more of a draw than the other. And I think that's something that we really do honestly have to be honest with ourselves with. What are men more drawn to? What are women more drawn to? There are these basic societal standards or even biological standards you can even talk about that will make someone more drawn to a certain film over another. Now, that does not mean that that's the rule, right? There are going to be certain crossovers in the marketplace. There's going to be certain crossovers of various audiences. But when you have everything going against you, when you have a film that no one asked for, when you have 3 people, 3 actresses where you're like, I don't believe any of them could actually whoop anyone's butt, and you have them doing it on screen, and you have them doing all the things and the promotional material saying a woman can do anything a man can do. No. Some women can do certain things physically, right? Because there are biological differences, but we can't talk about that in today's world. We can't talk about truth. We cannot be honest with ourselves. But guess what? The general public doesn't care for that nonsense. The general public does not want this nonsense being shoved down their throats, and that is the reason why it is epically failing. And so at this point in time, it's made $3.1 million, and as it said, domestically will make around $8 million. It's barely making anything in China at this point in time, so you're looking at a film that probably won't be much more than $15 million in its opening weekend. That is abysmal, and that is a sign of a film possibly making so little that it bombs with a low budget, with an unbombable budget. Essentially, that's pretty damn awful. While Ford v Ferrari is coming in at $10.9 million, that's very, very impressive for it. This film, okay, so this film actually costs a little bit more. So just to clarify, this film cost almost $100 million, which to be honest, I believe it based on the effects and all the stunts that I see on screen. And this is the film that will likely make that money back. And this is a movie that I think probably could have been in a lot of hot water because it seemed to be more of this Oscar bait type biopic, and it just is it's resonating with audiences in a way that I think many people did not expect. As I said, as someone that's not even a car person, I got excited. It reminded me a lot. I mentioned this in my review over on the Welcome to Asgard channel. That reminded me a lot of the movie Warrior, where Warrior had a lot to do with UFC fighting, and I did not care for UFC fighting, but I saw the movie and I was so into it because of the way it was filmed. This is the same way, right? Ford v Ferrari is a great film. Great excitement. It's a biopic that no one's ever covered before in this kind of a way, and it's very exciting. So you have that going on over here. You have wokeness going on over here. And I'm very glad that they mentioned Dark Fate in here because I think that the people over at Deadline, especially the author of this article, Anthony D'Alessandro, you're missing the whole point. You mentioned Dark Fate, and yet you fail to recognize the key factor, the key selling point, or rather the key connection between both of these films. They both went woke, which is why they're both going to go broke. Let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.